Hello everyone, this is Ronnie, and I wanted to make a response to a comment I got about conspiracy theories, and someone was saying, if you did more research and didn't just follow along with what you're told, you would learn all this stuff about conspiracy ideas and theories and all this stuff. And I've, my response was like, well, you're not really doing research. This isn't research. People talk about go online and do your own research, and then they just find all this biased, like invented information with nothing to back it up, no evidence. But it appeals to you so strongly that you want it to be true. And stories are very appealing, and ideas, and it seems to all fit together. And also, it makes a really simplistic idea of the world. A lot of the basic conspiracy theories is that there's a table of people somewhere that are like controlling everything, and they make everything happen the way it is. And that's just really simplistic way of looking at the world and looking at life, which is convenient because it allows us to have a really simple worldview rather than realizing the whole world and human society is pretty complex, and it's quite hard to get your head around the whole thing. But I've talked about conspiracy theories a little bit in relationship to how they are used in the natural alternative health movement to sucker people into buying products. And most people that buy into conspiracy theories are total suckers, who don't really want to do the research, who don't actually want to understand these things, who have some kind of bias that the world is a bad place, that the government is against them, that everything is against them. And typically, if you are the market of people for conspiracy theories, probably maybe you don't feel like you fit in with the world, maybe you don't feel like you've had the success or the life you deserve, maybe you feel you've been held back from achieving the things you want, maybe you've been born with an unfortunate set of circumstances that make it difficult for you to have the life you want to have or whatever. And a lot of people have these feelings of unfairness, of all that stuff. But to buy into the conspiracy theory thing is very weak. It's tempting, but it's weak. And it's weak because it's disempowering. It's you kind of capitulating to the idea that you don't have the power to make a change in your life and make your life better and make the world better. And why don't they do this? And why don't they do that? And why did they? It's always like blaming someone else and blaming some imaginary cabal of people that are supposedly stopping you from having the life that you want and doing the things you want to do. And why don't you get involved with the conversation? Why don't you do something about it? Why don't you organise a protest if you've got some ideas and things like that? And the ironic thing is that as you make an attempt to do something good in the world and make a difference in the world, what you'll realise is there's no way conspiracies are true. Because you'll realise how difficult it is to create, be successful, to do anything in life. It takes a lot of effort and strive and sacrifice and creativity and luck and all these things coming together. And the idea that there's just a table of people that are just orchestrating everything and making it all happen, I don't know, maybe there is to some degree. But are they doing things to hurt and harm the population? It doesn't really make sense for them to do that. Like, if you want to have power over people, why would you also want to kill people and all that stuff? So a lot of the conspiracies at the moment surrounding the coronavirus, this is a fantastic time for conspiracy theorists. This is a boom time for conspiracy theorists. They're running away they're laughing their way to the bank with the book sales and all the whatever products they've got, the advertising on their website, their YouTube channel, money or whatever. These guys are laughing their way to the bank. The conspiracy theorists, the Alex Joneses and David Ickes of the world and people like that. Now, is that bad of them to do that? No, not really. Is it bad of them to just scam and lie to people and cause fear and spread nonsense? Is it Is it? No, I mean, it's their right. They have freedom of speech. That's what part of our society is all about. Um, However, when we have a situation quite serious, potentially like a pandemic, and these voices come out and say things that are utter nonsense, that have no evidence behind it, that is complete fantasy, and it stops people from taking action that might be better for themselves, then sometimes they have to be restricted in, in what they're saying. I would think, because they're just in business at the end of the day. They're trying to get their ideas out there, but I don't know. I mean, the basic idea with these guys is like there's governments and groups and rich people that kind of control things and make decisions we're unaware of. Newsflash, everyone knows that. That's not some kind of news. I'd be amazed if people don't understand that. That there's organisations and governments and rich people get together and make decisions and all that stuff. But the idea that they make decisions that are for the harm of the public, this is the problem that I find with the conspiracy theory sort of thing. Now you could say, well, our decision when all the oil companies get together or whatever and they decide to do something in the world of oil and whatever, well, that means that they try and restrict other forms of energy from being produced, and that means we still use oil and we harm the planet. Well, maybe that is true. Maybe there's some truth to that or not. But really, it's a responsibility of government to limit the actions of these companies and things like that. And we have the ability to speak to our MPs, we have the ability to protest, we have the ability to raise, to get issues raised in Parliament and stuff like that. We can take action if you're really passionate about that, if you really want to, and then there's all the alternative fuel companies, they have their agenda. The Tesla motor company of the world and all these other things, they have their separate agenda. But then the oil companies will say, well, we can't replace our energy supply with sunshine yet and with wind, so this is all a lie as well. That's so there's different agendas, there's different stories. Which one you buy into depends on your own particular biases. And in the natural health movement, we all start off with the return to nature bias, or the appeal to nature fallacy, and the naturalistic fallacy that everything that's natural is better, which isn't true. Now, our natural diet is better for us. Of course, if your body is designed and adapted for a particular diet, of course it's better. Is it a conspiracy that that's not widely known? Not really, it's just not widely known yet. It's not been accepted yet. It's quite hard to get people to accept that a diet that they don't do is a better diet, But we're putting that information out there slowly, maybe gathering pace gradually as we go along, and eventually we'll get it more and more out there. But it's not a conspiracy that the meat companies want to sell more meat. That's clear. Of course they do. The junk food companies want to sell more junk food. Of course they want to do that, and they have a right to do that. They actually have an obligation to do that. That's the way that the capitalist system is set up. Companies have an obligation to continue to try and be successful and thrive and make money and make profit for shareholders. So often companies do weird things and what looks like bad things, because that's the nature of the system. It's not a perfect system, but that's kind of the way it works. Anyway, you can try and do good things for people. You can try and make good things happen. And you'll realise it's very, very hard. It's a struggle. And then you'll realise that these conspiracies are just kind of silly. That they're just forcing and manipulating people, and they're using advertising to con people, and it just doesn't really, people aren't as dumb as that, actually. Especially when it comes to spending money and spending their time. People can be manipulated to a degree, but usually they're manipulated towards things that they've actually already got a desire to do. They're going towards people that are saying the things that they want to hear, already. So that's the way I kind of look at it. If you know, the idea, why isn't the government just going out there and saying, "Hey, love and peace, everyone, just meditate," and all that? Like, it's just not what most people want. It's not what, like, we're kind of overestimating people by thinking that the problem in the world is the governments, and like, look at what's happened with the coronavirus. Like, people have all gone out selfishly trying to stock up on stuff for themselves without thinking about everyone else. But that's just all of us. You can't go blaming everyone else. We're all like that. You know, I don't need toilet paper so much, so that's why I wouldn't stock up on it. But I've seen, you know, the Woodstock Fruit Festival one year when there wasn't a lot of fruit in the first year that I went, people were stocking up. People were going down in the morning when the food came out, they were taking it and selfishly taking it up to their room and hiding it. Now, I thought that was completely selfish. But for them, they probably justified it in some way, like they paid for it, it's theirs, they should get it, blah blah blah, they need it more than others, whatever. So fruitarians are not like immune to it, but as human beings, it's a human condition, it's humanity. The primary emotions usually that get manipulated with conspiracy theories are often anger, people's anger, injustice. But anger basically is the base emotion that all conspiracies are based on. And the whole idea with conspiracy is they're trying to motivate you to do something or think something or get up out of your seat and do something about something and change your life and change your ways, you know. And really the way we do that is through negative emotion, through getting in touch with people's negative emotion, because people want to move away from pain more than they want to move towards pleasure. People want to move away from pain far quicker, far more predictably than they want to move towards pleasure. It's just the way of the world. And that includes emotional pain. So negative emotions are uncomfortable for people, and they want to move away from them. In conspiracy theories, they just tap into your anger. Anger is a motivating emotion. Love is not a motivating emotion, you know. Go to this place, there's all these lovely, loving people that will love you. Okay, I'll get there at some point. Or get away from this place, there's all these terrible people here right now, you know. That's way more. People are going to get away from all the bad people quicker than they are. Oh, there's an amazing party going on, everyone's there, all your friends, it's amazing. I'll get there some point tonight, maybe I'll go tomorrow, maybe I won't turn up. That's what people are like, you know. So anger, the whole point of the conspiracy theory is to motivate, is to tap into your anger and your fear to some degree, but definitely your anger. And you get this anger coming out, you know, this hatred that people have towards, like, at the moment, towards like Bill Gates or Donald Trump or the Chinese or whoever. We're all vulnerable to that. You know, we're all vulnerable to that. We've got to check ourselves a little bit. Wait a minute, is there any proof around what they're saying? Okay, Bill Gates created the coronavirus. Well, is there any truth in that? Like, can we prove that? Has he got a lab somewhere where he made it? Like, why would he make it? Oh, because he wants to make a vaccine. What's this, the most complicated way for Bill Gates to make money ever? Like, why would he do that? He's basically the richest man in the world. He probably would make more money now buying stock or something, because a lot of stocks are probably down, or property, or whatever else he could do, or starting another computer company or something, I don't know. But I'm not convinced that he's that motivated by making more money at this point. I don't know, maybe he is, but the idea that he would create a virus in order to create a vaccine, in order to sell the vaccine, when vaccines are already such a controversial topic, is like quite a very difficult place to go into. Why would he do that when he could just, you know, if he just wants to make more money, he can stop giving his money away. He's got a big charitable foundation. 5G is another thing that's been connected, in that 5G is going to be rolled out. I'm not convinced that most of the people I've heard talk negatively about 5G have the technical education to understand how 5G works. I don't understand how it works. I just know it's like super fast internet or whatever, like ridiculous fast internet. But I don't really know anything about it. But I have a different. I don't start from the conspiracy theory position, which is like it must be bad. I start from the position that it's probably good if it's being touted to be put out there, and it's probably being tested, and it's probably being done in a safe way. Because let's say you were to try and do that. Let's say you were to try and create a negative technology that's going to harm people, and you want to put it out to the world. Do you think you're going to do that? Like, even if you have all the money in the world, do you really think that's going to be easy? You don't think you're going to come across resistance? You don't think the other companies in the sector are going to be like, what the hell are they doing? Let's put out loads of press bashing it. You know, let's get the public against it. Let's go into Parliament and get all the MPs against it. You think you're going to do it? Like, you think they just get together and do this stuff easily? That 5G just comes out without any restriction? Of course it gets tested. Of course it gets questioned. Of course it's getting ripped apart before it gets put out. The real resistance to 5G is the fact that it was developed, or it is developed, and the front runner is the Chinese. That is the main resistance that people have against it. And that's where the resistance comes from. That's where the rollout of it, the resistance to the rollout of it comes from. It's not America that's dominating this technological advance, it's the Chinese. And so do you not think the American intelligence organizations and so on are going to try and, you know, throw a negative light on it to stop people demanding it? Otherwise people would be like, we want 5G right now, this is incredible advance. You know, if everyone knew all the good stuff it could potentially do for people. Let's get it out right now. Well, the Americans can't put it out right now. They don't have it ready. The Chinese have it ready. You've got to start understanding the bigger picture of the games that are at play. A lot of the conspiracies that people believe in are funded by the Chinese, by the Russians, against the Americans, against the Europeans, against the European Union. Look at Brexit. I mean, who do you think funded Brexit? Do you think that there's people that maybe want Europe to be divided, to be broken up? You think there's forces at play that wanted that to happen, that were happy to fund all that? Happy to put some brown envelopes full of money in some politicians' hands? I mean, Boris Johnson wasn't even a Brexiter before, like until someone gave him a brown envelope, probably. Who knows? I mean, that's the kind of real conspiracies that are out there. But, I mean, it's just a part of life. But to get all caught up in that, why don't you get caught up in what are you going to do to make a change? That's what I want to think about. What are we all going to do to make a change? How are we going to get this world vegan as soon as possible? So this crazy stuff never happens again. No more infectious diseases. Done with. Because they all come from animals. They all come from farms and farming and stuff and animal markets. So we get rid of all that. We get people healthier. People start to make better choices. The healthier, the smart people, the good people, the people making good contributions in life live longer because they're healthier. They can be more productive. More good things happen in the world. The productive people become more productive. Everything becomes better. That's the world we want to go towards. We make better choices. We're more in touch with nature. We get the animal products out of our diet. We're less aggressive, potentially. We need less land. More land goes back to nature. So this is the world, the real chance of world that we should all be fighting for, making it happen. But we're not going to make it happen by complaining. We need to actually go out and speak to people and share it with people and have a potluck, you know, and bring your friends over for a vegan dinner or whatever and do simple things. And when you do things like that, you'll start to feel like, hey, I'm taking some action. And you'll realise how difficult it is. Bring all your friends over for a vegan dinner and see how they react. and see how they complain, and see how they're like, oh, this doesn't taste as good, oh, I'll never eat this again, you know, and all that stuff. I like an idea called vegan door to door, for the vegan movement at least, where we literally go door to door to door and talk to people, just like the Jehovah's Witnesses, just like every home improvement company in the world. You might say, I don't want to do that. We're not going to do that. No, we shouldn't do that. That's bad. What we should do is that we should sit in the middle of a town with little television screens with masks on our faces. Okay, that's an okay idea if you want people to go vegan in about 30 years. But let's talk to them right now. Go to their door. Bang, bang, bang. Hello. You know, have you heard about the vegan diet? We want to tell you about it. Are you interested in it? Do you want to learn more about it? So that's the kind of stuff I think about. Like, can we make that happen? Can we get thousands of vegans committed to every week going out and talking to 100 people at the doorstep? You know, I think that we would spread veganism a lot quicker like that. Than all this social media and everything. Go to people's doors. I love that. Phone them up, maybe. Phone calls. That's what we need to do to tip the scale. And if you start doing stuff like that, you start to feel like you're living a sense of purpose, and you don't get caught up in these conspiracy theories. You don't think about them anymore. You don't get trapped up in other people's drama, because you're doing something that you know is making some form of an impact in the world. So thank you for listening, watching. Feel free to share and leave your comments below. And I would just suggest once again, don't get caught up in conspiracy theories. It's not research you're doing. It's just following someone else's agenda, empowering someone else, buying their book, following their thing, you know. If they're right, that would be great. But the fact that they're just, some of it's right as well, but they just make it all sound bad. like oh, there's a pyramid of control. Like, yeah, there is. Like, what do you expect? That's humanity. We organize ourselves into pyramids where there's a leader at the top and there's other levels of leadership going down to the bottom. That's how it works. That's the only way it works. That's not a conspiracy. That's just it. Are there things the government do you're not aware of? Yes. Are there organisations that you don't know about that are making big decisions and controlling little things? Yes. But you could find out about it if you want. Just most people aren't bothered. Most people just getting on with their life. Don't really care what organisation's choosing this or that or whatever. So anyway, thank you for watching. See you in the next video. Subscribe if you like. Let me know your comments below.